In the far northwest corner of Australia, there is a region the size of two major European nations where almost nobody lives, almost nobody goes, and almost nobody knows what is actually there. Buried inside its 423,000 square kilometers is rock art that may be the oldest on Earth, a coastline with more islands than anyone has officially counted, and evidence of human occupation that predates modern humans arriving in Europe by 5,000 years. Most Australians have never been taught a single one of these facts. Over the next 10 geography facts, you will see why scientists say the Kimberley is one of the most significant ancient landscapes on Earth, and why almost none of it has been properly studied yet. Fact 10. The Kimberley covers 423,000 square kilometers, larger than Germany and the United Kingdom combined, or roughly 3 times the size of England. The entire population is approximately 35,000 people spread across a territory the size of 2 major European nations. The roads that exist close for months during the wet season. Some gorges in the interior have not been visited by anyone outside the traditional custodian communities for years at a stretch. Fact 9 pulls that scale down to the waterline. The western and northern coastline is one of the most complex coastal geographies in the southern hemisphere. Thousands of islands, many of them never formally named, none of them systematically surveyed for archaeological content. The tidal range along this coast reaches up to 11 meters at certain points. That is the height of a 3-story building, appearing and disappearing with every tide. When sea levels were lower during the last ice age, those islands were inland hilltops. The people living there were not coastal dwellers. They were living kilometers from any shore on country that is now sitting on the seabed. Marine archaeologists have formally noted the significance of that submerged landscape. It has not yet been opened. Fact 8 anchors all of that to a specific date. A rock shelter on the Kimberley coast called Gwion Gwion was formally dated in research published in Quaternary Science Reviews in 2022. The confirmed occupation date is 50,000 years ago. When those people were camping there, the coastline was more than 100 kilometers further west. They already had ground stone axes, ground hematite for red ochre pigment, fire, tools, and a detailed working knowledge of this landscape. Modern humans did not reach Europe until approximately 45,000 years ago. The people at Gwion Gwion were already established in the Kimberley 5,000 years before our species set foot on that continent. The geography did not just shelter those people, it preserved the record of them. Fact 7. Researchers estimate the Kimberley contains tens of thousands of individual rock art sites. No complete survey has ever been conducted. The sites span sandstone gorges, cliff faces, rock shelters, and boulder clusters across terrain almost nobody visits. Emeritus Professor Andy Gledo from the University of Melbourne has described the formally documented sites as a small fraction of what is almost certainly there. Fact 6 is where the timeline became provable. Dating Kimberley rock art had been a problem for most of the 20th century because the mineral pigments used contain no organic material, which rules out radiocarbon dating. The solution came from mud wasps. Mud wasps build nests directly onto rock surfaces, sometimes on top of existing paintings, sometimes beneath later ones, creating natural before and after brackets. Researchers from the University of Melbourne and Ansto collected more than 100 nests from Kimberley sites and radiocarbon dated the organic material inside them. The results, published in Science Advances in 2020, confirmed that Gwion Gwion style paintings were produced approximately 12,000 years ago. One figure returned a minimum date of more than 16,000 years, with some sources citing approximately 17,000 years, more than twice the age of the Egyptian pyramids. And the mud wasp result was only the beginning of what the dating work found. That mud wasp dating result, a single figure coming back at 16,400 years. Do you think the Kimberley rock art will eventually be confirmed as the oldest on Earth? Or do you think somewhere else is hiding an even older site? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the story of who made these paintings and what they actually depict is where this gets genuinely hard to believe. That mud wasp result was a floor, not a ceiling, and what came next pushed the Kimberley story into territory that forced a reckoning with everything the world thought it knew about where art began. Fact 5. When pastoralist Joseph Bradshaw rode into a remote Kimberley gorge in 1891, he found paintings on the sandstone walls and refused to believe Aboriginal Australians had made them. The figures were two sophisticated, dynamic human forms wearing headdresses, decorative armbands, and tassel belts, depicted in motion with a control of proportion and line he associated exclusively with European artistic traditions. Bradshaw concluded an earlier, unknown civilization must have produced them and since disappeared. He was wrong on both counts. The Gwion Gwion were painted by the ancestors of the communities whose country the Kimberley has always been, and those communities never disappeared. Their descendants are still there. The colonial assumption Bradshaw carried into that gorge persisted in some quarters for over a century, not because the evidence supported it, but because the alternative required a complete revision of what people believed Aboriginal culture was capable of producing. Fact 4. Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain are among the most famous examples of prehistoric figurative art in Europe, with Lascaux dating to approximately 17,000 to 20,000 years ago, and some Altamira paintings to around 36,000 years ago. That framing embedded a quiet assumption into the global record. That sophisticated artistic expression originated in Europe. The Kimberley dating results challenged that directly. The mud wasp work established confirmed dates. Uranium series techniques are now being applied to even older Kimberley styles, and those results have not yet been fully published, which means the confirmed dates are a floor. The ceiling has not been found. Fact 3. The ratio of documented to undocumented Kimberley sites is, in researchers' own words, one of the most skewed in any archaeological landscape on Earth. Physical difficulty, remoteness, and legal heritage protections restrict access across most of the region. What has been formally studied is something close to the tip of what exists. The rest is sitting in country almost nobody visits, exposed to weather and time with no documentation in place. Fact 2 returns to the coastline, not as scale, but as consequence. The sites sitting on the seabed off the Kimberley coast are not a footnote. They represent an entire chapter of human history from a period when this landscape looked completely different, written on country that is now underwater. That chapter has not been opened. Marine archaeology has noted its significance. The systematic investigation has not begun. Fact 1 is the payoff. The Kimberley is not significant despite being unstudied. It is significant because of what the small fraction that has been studied already shows. A single rock shelter returned 50,000 years of confirmed occupation. A single dating program upended the global timeline for figurative art. A single gorge held figures sophisticated enough that a European observer refused to accept their origin. If the rest of this landscape holds proportional evidence, researchers are not sitting on a curiosity. They are sitting on one of the most important ancient records anywhere on Earth. The geography that kept it inaccessible for so long is the same geography that preserved it. The evidence was always there. It just took the right tools and enough time for the rest of the world to catch up. Subscribe for more ancient Australian history hiding in plain sight, and watch the next one on screen.